Snap games often tend to be unfair at times. There will be moments when random number generator works against you, and you'll see that in the fan games of this franchise as well. However, there's one that made me think differently, one that felt cruel but also fair. And not only that, the atmosphere and the design of the animatronics feel very real, accompanied by simple but believable mechanics. That's right, I'm talking about Freddy's Reanimated. I played this fan game live with you all, and its summary can be found on my Let's Plays channel. Although we read the essential parts of the game, I wasn't able to complete it 100%. It was a nice attempt, so that was still pending, and of course with a good dose of analysis. So let's get started. Before you lies a formless void. It precedes all things in the realm, visible and invisible, including yourself. One day you will die and return to this void. When you perish, you may not be remembered afterward. However, if you were, what name would you like to have engraved on your tombstone? AYBM Games. And so it was. With this introduction, we move on to the menu, where we'll see the place where we'll be, which is called Freddy's Pizza Party Palace. Before starting, we can check the settings. And this design already gives us a hint of how realistic and old-fashioned this video game will try to look. But without further delay, let's go to the first day at Freddy's. Pay attention, when you're closer, he can be easily fooled. As you can see, the game will give us a recommendation before starting, which can help, but not that much. Something similar happens with Ralph, the phone guy, who, besides welcoming us and letting us know that the place will be demolished very soon, also gives us a brief explanation of the monitor. And the curious fact is that this name, Ralph, is also the name of the phone guy from the original game. As you continue, you'll probably notice something, and that's that this isn't the fast and classic monitor. Among the cameras you want, you can only go to the next or previous camera, and if you're on camera 1, you can only go to the next one. Also, it takes way too long to switch cameras. I think this is the fun game where it takes the longest, and I'm not joking. Likewise, we can't see a map on the monitor either, so we'll have to use the paper that's stuck to the door as a guide. If you want to see the time, you'll have to put the cursor on Bonnie's clock. And if for some strange reason you want to close the shutter, you have to hold it down and pull it downwards. So far, very fun. Is this fangame disruptive? We don't have lights, a mask, and not even the monitor works properly. On the first night, we'll encounter Bonnie. When he appears at the window, close the shutters. Wait until you hear his footsteps leaving before opening them again. Yes, I know it sounds simple, and it's even simpler once you understand that. When Bonnie moves from camera 8 to the window, there's also a sound of the camera resetting, which serves as a good indicator. At the time I didn't realize it, but it would have consequences later. For now, just keep the pressure on until it's 6 AM. Then Ralph gives us a call to go to the warehouse and upload some files to the cloud so he can use them on his blog. So we go to the computer and start doing what he asks. Even though the atmosphere is a bit tense, honestly, nothing will happen this time. For now, we'll be safe until we go at night. 2. Pay attention to her body language. Throw a flash at her when she's ready to attack. That's good advice for girls, although, well, it's a bit ambiguous. She'll come tonight on cameras like 2 or 4. We'll see her getting dangerously close to the camera. That's when we have to flash her to prevent her from coming to our office. If we don't do that well, Bonnie, no. It was to be expected, right? I hadn't seen Chica for a long time. The good thing is that at least this time, they'll give us an alert indicator so we know when to flash her. Too bad they didn't tell us which cameras she can come from, Chica. And, by the way, even though Ralph, our protagonist, gets an email saying that the animatronics are moving, he seems to downplay things. He also said at Google Security in March that he was told the same thing about the animatronics moving. But he didn't show enough evidence, so Ralph didn't believe him either. Although something curious is that I haven't heard anything from him since then. Could that be relevant? This guard that Ralph mentions is not just another simple victim, believe me. As for the night, I suffered a lot. While before I could just stare at the shutter, now that it's active, girl, you just can't do that anymore. If you lose track of one and don't know where it is, you're done for, girl, period. Maybe. The best thing is to check first and then look at all the cameras. When our shift ends, Ralph asks us for help again. We have to go to the storage room and check the power, and that's exactly what we'll do. We'll move the controls until one is the right one to reset the power. The bad part comes next. Since the controls increase and Bonnie comes to the storage room, he will stalk us here. All we can do now is test and keep watching him, since Bonnie will try to move forward. If we catch him, he'll return to his starting position. It's definitely a very tense situation, especially because the controls keep increasing and the time is indefinite. Finishing this part doesn't depend on time, but rather on what time, and well, when you're done, Bonnie will disappear. By Wednesday, we're given the following advice. He will try to hide from you. The Flash can make him come back, and they're talking about none other than Sparky. And yes, I know, it's a bit strange that he's here, knowing that he was just an animatronic rumored to exist in FNAF 1, but well, now he has a more important role. Every time we hear some barking, it means he left camera 3 to go to any of the other cameras. When we find him, we have to flash him, similar to Chica, but it's very obvious how he's different, since he has more cameras to go to and we know exactly when we need to flash him. This night is tougher than the previous ones, but it's funny I still managed to beat it here. At first glance, this night is harder, but since I already have experience with night 1 and night 2, it became easier. Ironically, for his part, Ralph still doesn't believe us. Although something strange is that when we try to redirect the question, he tells us that instead of asking how they can move, we should ask why they are moving. A bit strange, to be honest. Does that mean Ralph does believe us? At the end of the night, Ralph asks us to reset the cameras on the computer. We'll see Sparky on the way, and like last night, Bonnie will also stalk us in the warehouse. This time, to test each camera, we'll have to do something simpler. Just hold down the monitor window. This time Bonnie is more active, but the dynamic is the same. Don't spend too long on the computer, and looking at Bonnie isn't much more interesting. That's about it. Once that's done, we can focus on ourselves on night 4. He doesn't like being watched. Keep him from escaping. Oh yeah, this sounds like Foxy. But before that, Ralph has a question for us. Why do you think they're alive? After that, he tells us a story about a cave excavated by archaeologists in the 1940s where they found remains of an ancient human society and handprints that covered the walls. These handprints have haunted the archaeologists' lives ever since. Basically here, Ralph is hinting to us that just like that ancient civilization that didn't want to be forgotten, and that's why, in a way, they started to bother the archaeologists, the animatronics here are also trying not to be forgotten. Going back to the night, Foxy will be in camera 6. As usually happens in Snap 1, he will move forward little by little. To make him go back, we just need to keep watching his camera, but that also complicates things. If Sparky already takes a lot of time to find, and you need to watch Bonnie and Chica, Foxy makes us spend even more time and prevents us from finding the others. Well yeah, he's about to kill me, and I can't find the dog. 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 No. But that wasn't the only time I failed. We're not doing well. And I spoke too soon. Even so, we made it. Like I said on the stream, everything can be achieved with perseverance, but the night isn't over yet. We need to go check the vents. This time we don't just have to pay attention to one side, but we have to watch both sides while we turn the bolts. Yeah, kind of like Pizzeria Simulator. How do we know when to turn around when we hear a loud noise? And should we try to keep looking for a moment? Because I died. What was that? I shouldn't have turned around. That's right, we have to wait until it's completely gone, and we'll only know that if we keep listening. That's the most important thing. Then it's just doing the same thing until we manage to turn all the screws. And even though the 4th night is over, now the 5th one awaits us. Before you, there is something that was forgotten a long time ago, something that was once loved and cherished, but now it's broken. It's been left behind. Do you know what happens to something that's been forgotten for a long time? It dies a second time, it grows cold, it becomes motionless. But what if some things don't want to be forgotten? Do you know what happens when something refuses to be forgotten? It gets angry. Anger is eternal. Anger grows. It festers, it burns, it twists, and then finally it happens. It is given new life. It comes back, it torments us, it doesn't return as it once was, it comes back as something else, something unrecognizable. Through its anger, it is reanimated. Reanimated. Oh! He said it. He said the word. They said the word. The Flash slows him down. Good luck. Before anything else, Ralph emphasizes his point from the previous night. He admits there are rumors of murdered children, but says they're untrue. He subtly lets us know that the reason the animatronics move is because the world is changing and moving on without them. They simply don't want to be forgotten, and their anger has manifested in their reanimation. Knowing this, Freddy has added to this last night. He doesn't work like any of the others. He doesn't reset his position, he can't be stopped, you can only slow him down as he makes his way to the office. When we see him on the cameras, we flash him so he'll cover his eyes and stay there longer. By seeing which camera he's on, we know how close he is to the office and where to flash him. Also, if he's already in camera 8 and the night isn't over yet, it's better not to lose sight of him. Freddy's mechanics were something I didn't notice until later that night, which is why I lost it first. Even after realizing that, I still couldn't finish the night during the stream, just like Bonnie will do. Foxy, what do you mean Foxy? Did Freddy kill me? Yeah, it's really bad, Freddy killed me. Well guys, it was a good try, I'm happy. I mean, 5 in the morning, that's almost 6. Even though I didn't make it through at that moment, obviously I wasn't going to leave it like that. So behind the scenes, I tried to beat it, and even though I was able to focus more that way, it wasn't that easy. In fact, it took me a couple more tries in my game, but I did it. I had to pay very close attention to Freddy, and the moment he opened his eyes, I had to hit him with a huge flash right away so he wouldn't get out of control. You can see that while searching for the animatronic, I sometimes use the camera in my location. For me, it's not just about switching cameras, but searching effectively. Also, something important to know is that in camera 1, usually nothing dangerous happens. Not even Sparky hides there, apparently, of course. Something I did was that every time I heard that little sound of the camera loading, I would check my window in case it was Bonnie. And then, the rest is to pay attention to Chica to know which camera she's going through, either 2 or 4, and remember not to go too long without checking on Foxy. If we do that, we'll be able to get through it. After our shift, Ralph calls us to say we should go to the dining room because he wants to show us something. When we go, we see all the guests. It shows us how Ralph. He uses the camera flash, exclaiming that his purpose was to take pictures of the room and that now he has new images to post on his blog. Reviving interest in the place after its demolition, letting the animatronics rest, remaining as memories in people's minds instead of being forgotten by time. Goodbye Freddy's, goodbye AYBM Games, everything is quiet here now. At the end, we get our pay, and we're also shown how many times we died in the game. Careful, more than 30 tries, definitely. That fan game was tough for me. When we return to the menu, we'll see our little star as a reward, and now we'll have access to the extras. Looking at the characters, some interesting things are the descriptions. For example, it notes Bonnie's original designer has an irrational fear of rabbits, referencing Scott Cawthon and his fear of Bonnie, and how people still debate if the character is blue or purple, which I already addressed in a video. Likewise, in Foxy's description, it says that he was retired, sparking legends claiming that the fox had bitten a child's head, which refers to the bite of 83 in the original games, which was caused by Michael Afton, who was wearing a fox mask. We can also see some behind the scenes materials, which are simply disturbing, but also interesting to check out. We can also see the Chunskers frame by frame, check the credits, and try out the custom night. And watch out, because 3 more characters appear locked. Who are they? Well, let's find out. The first one is Bon. Basically, we have to click on him when he appears on the monitor or he'll disable the cameras. The second one is the Hawk, a kind of animatronic alcohol that will appear on the monitor. If we see him, we have to turn away until he leaves. And the third one is Sienna, an animatronic that will appear on the left side and will stop the night's progress. When we see her, we have to click on her so she leaves. Something curious is that when we unlock Bon, we'll be able to see a new folder called Contrary Evidence, where we can see certain images like Sparky, a handprint on Freddy, the entrance to the cave, the handprints in the cave, a promotion for the place, and a very disturbing image of a bear costume with some children next to it. Also, if in Custom Night we complete at least the 5 original animatronics at their maximum level, we'll see a newspaper that says the following. Authorities confirmed yesterday that the human remains discovered behind a seized establishment belonged to Mike Smith, 26, who had been reported missing. In March of this year, the police revealed evidence consistent with a bear attack, as claw marks and bite marks were found on the remains. Local wildlife officials point out that black bears are known to frequent the wooded area surrounding the building. Although it is tragic, this appears to be a case of unfortunate circumstances rather than a crime, said Detective Larson, who is leading the investigation. After that, we are shown Freddy destroyed, surely due to the demolition that Ralph mentioned. This new ending is interesting, especially because it connects very well with the game's demo. I know I didn't mention it to you, but the video game had a demo before its full release. In it, only Bonnie and Chica were active, and it only lasted 1 night. After finishing the shift, the lights went out, Freddy's music box played, and he attacked us. After that, we were briefly shown an image of the cave and a missing person notice, which was Mike Smith. That's right, in this demo we played as Mike, and he is the security guard who worked in March, and he was the one Ralph mentioned in one of the calls. Freddy's Reanimated is a fan game that tries to give us a very realistic atmosphere, not only with believable mechanics like closing a shutter, not just because of that slow loading computer that looks like it's from the 80s, and not only because of the very well made designs of the animatronics, but also for playing with the plot and giving it a totally unexpected twist, placing us in a time where Freddy and his friends are being forgotten, which is the paranormal reason why the animatronics move. They don't want to be forgotten. Additionally, I find it interesting that they added Sparky to the band, as this animatronic never existed in the original games and was only a rumor. But this fangame uses it to its advantage, to reinforce the idea of how sometimes we start to forget certain things. On the other hand, in terms of gameplay, this fangame is a gem. Like I said at the beginning, it feels very fair. There may be some exceptions, but most of the time it's going to be your responsibility, which makes the game challenging. And of course, the sound environment puts you on edge. Even after a certain hour, you can hear background music, which adds to the feeling of anxiety. For me, without a doubt, the animatronics I lost to the most were Bonnie and Chica. And well, Freddy is also very difficult. Bonnie and Chica aren't the most complicated, but sometimes you find difficulty in the simple things. Since you have more and more animatronics each time, that tension gets spread out. Likewise, we can't forget the scenes after completing each shift, where we enter different minigames, which adds another layer of tension to this fan game. Even though the mechanic of having to watch the animatronic on duty will repeat constantly, everything feels different because we're either doing a different task or we're in a new place. On the other hand, I want to highlight the ending, where the animatronics achieved their goal, to be remembered, because there are some things that shouldn't be forgotten, like subscribing to this channel. And it's also nice to know that the demo of this game suddenly became canon, reaffirming the existence of Mike Smith, who, even though he is apparently not William Afton's son, was still given some importance. Everything seems to fit perfectly, although that photo of the bear with the 4 children makes me doubt for some reason. It's found in a folder called Contrary Evidence, which translates to contrary evidence. Those photos prove that Sparky did exist, that Freddy did have a handprint on his face, that the entrance to the cave did exist, the handprints did exist, and that there also seems to have been some kind of Fredbear in that timeline. They confirm things we've seen and things we've heard from Ralph. So, why is it called contrary evidence? Could it be that Ralph, the manager of the company, was hiding something from us? Is that Freddy's handprint on his face actually from a child? Are the handprints in the caves from an ancient civilization, or were they left by people who were victims of the animatronics? I mean, for some reason when Mike dies, we can see that photo. Could it be that the missing children really did exist? It's a bit complicated to answer. What do you guys think? Regardless of the answer, that fangame is definitely one you should try. If you have a PC, download it, and if you have an Android phone, well, you won't be able to do much, since there isn't an official version for that platform, and the attempt by a third party to port the demo, honestly, is disappointing, so I don't recommend it. To wrap up, I appreciate that you stayed until the end watching the video, and also thanks to everyone who was with you during the live stream. Was it easier and quicker to get through the different nights? So that's it. I had fun, and I think that's what matters. Take care, look after yourselves, drink your Freddy water, and that's all. Nothing else. See you in the next video or in the next live stream.